So, life update. As you can see, I'm not in my usual spot because I redid my room a little bit. So originally, let me see if I can tilt my laptop a little. My desk was right there, and I had like all my setup over there, and you would see the back of the room and the door, which is over there, right? But now I've moved my desk over to this wall, and the reason for that is there's just more space. So I repainted all the walls. This wall was originally green. I don't know if you knew, but I hated that green, so I put primer and painted over it gray because the rest of the house is gray too. So I did out this wall and this wall. So the wall that I'm currently sitting next to is now. Sorry if your ears just broke. I just tipped over my mic. But it's now purple. I also got a new desk which is much bigger and I love it. So I have this like purple wall here. It's a nice little accent to the room. Makes the room feel a lot darker but also better. And that's how things have been going for me. I've been loving it. It's going great. I like the setup too because it's like perfectly centered with that window. And I don't know. I feel like this scene that you see is just much better. There's no door in the way or anything like that. But yeah, that's how things are going for me. So as the title says, Podcast 04, My Head is a Moshpit by Verzache. Now, Verzache is kind of one of the many artists that blew up because of TikTok, but have definitely been around before it and have been, making music independent to TikTok. And I think blowing up on TikTok both created his career and in some ways wasn't actually that great for him. When you think about people who discovered him, it was just people who found him on SoundCloud when he was much smaller, or people like me who are now diehard fans but only knew about him because the songs like Needs blew up on TikTok. And I think that's okay, It's actually a really great way to grow, but it is a very volatile, I want to say volatile market, but it's not a market. You know what I'm talking about. It's a very volatile system because you can blow up one day and be a nobody the next. Especially TikTok makes that 10 times worse. So when it comes to My Head is a Moshpit, this is Verzache's third project, I'm pretty sure, under the name of Verzache. If you don't know, his real name is Zach Farash, and prior to Verzache, he was just under the name Zach Farash, where he just made exclusively like lo-fi and that sort of type of music. And it was just what set him up to be a good producer and to be really good at producing his own music. And My Head is a Moshpit is his first time he's really taken that to a professional level. He's made one other album called Thought Pool, but I'd consider it more of a mixtape than an album, as he was still very inexperienced at the time. But he's better now, and he's really found his own sound. Now, when it comes to My Head is a Moshpit, I do feel like there are some things that I don't like about him, and I'm a big fan of his. I still don't like these things. When it comes to him trying to be a little bit more higher energy, I think he makes great low energy songs, I guess is the best way to say it. He really shines with that. The final track of the album, Nothing Lasts, is one of my favorite off the album, and that really shows that he's good at these kind of slow emotional tracks. But when he tries to do these higher paced tracks like FMU or basically just FMU, which I think really I hated personally, because it's very clear that he listens to a lot of Playboi Carti, because he has that same, he tried doing the same squeaky voice, the baby voice, and I personally didn't like that. I think he can be a very good high energy singer, like he's made Messed Up, Calling, and those are all good because he's still singing properly, but the baby voice really doesn't work for him. Only Carti can really pull that off correctly. Coaches can try, but only Carti is the only person who can own it well. Other than that, I'd say that it's really just not an amalgamation, a collection of some of his best work, in my opinion, because he's had he scatters these little interludes throughout the project, like Same Difference, Coping Mechanisms, and things like that, which aren't really full songs at all. They're just kind of some sort of background track and him just kind of talking over it. And other than that, there's most of these are just some singles. He released 4 singles off of this album earlier that are all on this track, all on this album. And besides that, there's tons. There's 19 tracks in total. There's tons of these other really great tracks that are scattered throughout. For me, the lowest point was definitely right towards the end of the album, the second to last, the 18th track, called "Last Year," which I felt got really repetitive. It's 3 minutes and 14 seconds, and I kind of got bored after the first minute. But I'd say nothing lasts. While being actually longer, there's only a couple lines, and it does really speak for itself, because when I saw the first snippet he posted, I was like in love with this track from the beginning, and I just kept waiting for him to release it. I was like waiting for the album, like I just really need to find out this track. And when I heard it, when I was listening to the album for the first time and I heard that, I was so excited. And I think that's what he's done really well. All of these little snippets, because it all comes together. Like you hear the beginning of "These Walls" or "Tongue Tied," and then you listen to it, and then you're like, wow, that's that snippet, you know. And I think that's why snippets are so great. And other than that, all the songs flowed really well. I was able to just lie down and listen to this, and it all just felt like a dream. Otherwise, I think that he could have definitely improved on some certain things. I think he could have stepped out of his comfort zone a little bit. But then again, it is his first full-length album. Again, I don't really count Thought Pools because, like I said, he wasn't that experienced at the time. And I think the biggest thing is just stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. And he did do that with FMU, and he did try that Cardi voice, and in my opinion, looking from the streams, it wasn't crazy popular, but still more popular than other things. And it was actually more popular than Nothing Lasts, and that's surprising. But I think that he's trying to do all this, and that's great for him. He really should be. So what would I rate this album? So that's a good question. So I was thinking about this a lot because I listened to this album a lot. It's one of my favorite albums of this year. Definitely not an album of the year, but pretty good. When it comes to this album, considering that I'm trying to like take out my bias from this score, but I'd give it somewhere around an 8.5 out of 10. And that's only because, like I said, he's not unexperienced by any means right now, but he's definitely not a pro. And I think, he can obviously improve on this in the future. I'm sure he has another great album coming, maybe next year or the year after, that he can really push up his game to the next level. And in terms of highlight tracks, I'd have to give you Nothing Lasts, These Walls, Run, and probably All I Need, maybe even Messed Up. But yeah, and that also brings me to my next point, which is how TikTok has shaped his career. If you look through Verzache's most popular songs, his current most popular song is also currently very popular on TikTok, that being The Loser. It's kind of used as a sadder track to put behind sad TikToks. His next most popular song, Needs, which has 146 million streams, by the way. Again, something that got super popular on TikTok, kind of in the birth of the app, I'd say, is when it got popular. And then if you look at his other 3 in the top 5, they are kind of just all valid ones. But, and when you look at his streams for My Head is a Moshpit, you will notice that the ones he hyped up, like All I Need, Look Away, Messed Up, and Calling, and Think About It Too. Think About It as an interesting one, because think about it, he released in the morning, he released the whole album. And all of these singles are in the millions right now in terms of streams. And that's kind of to be expected, as they were released as singles, so people had to appreciate them more. But when you look at the other ones that just came as part of the albums, they're all in the 100 and 200,000 range. Some of them broke into 300,000, but for a artist with 3 million monthly listeners, I would expect a little bit more out of him. So I think he could have. I think it's just TikTok's fault in a way, because if not for TikTok, he might have not had the massive following he does now, but he would have a more cult following. Because I'd say a good portion of his viewers are really just people who are listening to Needs or what's it called? The Loser, just because they know it from TikTok. But if you're talking, but let's say he didn't blow up on TikTok, he might have a million monthly listeners max right now. But those million monthly listeners would know all of his music by heart. He would have developed more of a cult fan base. And I think a good example of that is Snot, the rapper, because he grew over 4 years on SoundCloud, and that's why he has such a diehard fan base, because his fan base knows every single one of his songs he's made, because they've been with him since the very beginning. It's not like he just blew up off of one track, which he kind of did, but when he blew up off that one track, he had a very solid fan base, not like Verzache. Verzache got a solid fan base off of blowing up. And that was, like I said, both the savior to his career and also something that kind of brought it down a little bit. But yeah, that's all I have to say about my head is on Moshpit. Otherwise, we've hit 3 streamers, which is my current peak. I think I know both of them, so that's cool. So before I end, I am struggling for content. I actually came up with this episode like a couple hours ago, so please, in the chat, give me like albums or artists to review, because I'm starving. If you enjoy watching this video, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll know whenever I post. That, I'll see you later.